Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. October 26th, 2017.
We reject racism. We reject white supremacy. We reject anti-Semitism. We reject the KKK. We reject neo-Nazis. We reject domestic terrorism. And we reject hatred.
It's about time. Hallelujah. Okay. I'm in a good mood today. I don't know why. The gag order's now being lifted on that FBI informant, paving the way for him to be able to give testimony to Congress, to the American people, about what the Clintons did during the Uranium One deal. It's now going to expose one of the greatest scandals, potentially, hopefully, of our time. And now the organizers, or at least one of the organizers of the Boston Free Speech Rally this summer, is finally going after Marty Walsh, Macho Marty. So here is now the absolute latest. If you remember, there was a free speech rally. It was been done periodically. It'd been done before. However, it was this free speech rally was organized 1 week after the Charlottesville incident. It had been planned beforehand, but it took place a week after. Marty Walsh, who now looks like he's going to coast to re-election, deliberately chose to politicize that event, and either he knowingly lied about it or got his information from the Southern Poverty Law Center and was just so reckless and stupid. Either way, he went out there on a massive fear campaign, ginning up hysteria in the city of Boston, claiming that the KKK was now descending onto the Boston Common, that white supremacists, racists, bigots, haters, neo-Nazis, like in Charlottesville, were going to be holding a rally at the Boston Common. And because of his utterly false, inflammatory, repeated statements, he went everywhere. He held press conference after press conference. He told Channel 4, he told Channel 5, he told Channel 7, he told Channel 10, he told Channel 25, WGBH, NPR, The Globe, The Herald, everybody. The KKK was coming to Boston. Black Lives Matter got involved, and they descended upon the city 40,000 strong. Traffic was shut down. Streets were shut down. Violence occurred. The police had to be brought in huge numbers. Police officers then had rocks, bottles, urine bottles even thrown at them. An old lady, I broke this story on my show, was in fact physically assaulted and beaten up by one of these Black Lives Matter thugs. People who wanted to attend the free speech rally were assaulted. They were prevented from going. And eventually the free speech rally was shut down. They were basically forced out after about an hour. Finally, one of the organizers is suing Marty Walsh. Brandon Navum, he was one of the rally's organizers, has filed a lawsuit. It was filed on Monday in Berkshire Superior Court. And in his lawsuit, which he now wants $50 million in damages, plus $50 million in punitive damages, plus to pay for his lawyer's fees, is saying that Walsh, in his personal capacity, either made knowing lies or reckless false statements by repeatedly characterizing the rally and its organizers as quote-unquote white supremacists or hate groups. And what happened to Brandon Navum is that because he was one of the organizers, and they put out the list of who the speakers were and who the organizers were, there was obviously a huge hate mob inflamed by Marty Walsh. They targeted his work. He was a software consultant. He's based in Lowell. And they targeted his work. And eventually he was fired from his job because the hate mob kept emailing and calling the boss saying, this guy is KKK. This guy is a white supremacist. This guy is a neo-Nazi. Not only did he lose his job, This poor guy was bullied on the internet, massive cyberbullying, received numerous death threats. His reputation has been destroyed. He's lost his job. He now is permanently stained and marked as an alleged white supremacist. That's why he's suing for all these punitive damages, because it's going to be almost impossible for him to find work, because when it's out there on the internet, people do a background check when you apply. They think it's true. And so because of this, Brandon Navum's reputation, his hireability, his career, in many ways his life, has been utterly and completely destroyed. And all of it was a lie. That's the key point. All of it was a lie. In fact, if you were to define them politically, many of these organizers and speakers who spoke at the Boston Free Speech Rally, they're libertarians. Some of the speakers were in fact Bernie supporters, but how do I say this? Anti-war or pro-civil liberties Bernie supporters. So people that were there to speak were speaking about the crucial importance of the First Amendment in a free society and the crucial importance of freedom of speech. Not one of them, not one, had any ties whatsoever to the Ku Klux Klan, to a white supremacy group, to a white nationalist group, to a neo-Nazi group, to a fascist group, none whatsoever. This was a gathering essentially of supporters of Ron Paul and Rand Paul and people who read Reason magazine and some who believe and back Bernie. That's it. That's all. So let me get this straight. In Walsh's mind, in Moonbat, Massachusetts, I just want to be crystal clear on this. If you believe in the Bill of Rights, and if you believe in freedom of speech, and if you believe in limited government, and if you believe in genuine tolerance, and if you believe in the rule of law, that suddenly now makes you the KKK? Because that's what libertarianism is all about. It is about maximizing the freedom and liberty of the individual. If you want to break it down, I'll break it down for you even more. Most of them support the free market, minimal government intervention. By the way, the opposite of fascism, but let that go. Number two, they all support equal rights and equality under the law. Again, the very opposite of white supremacy, fascism, or the KKK. Many of them are genuinely anti-war. They decry what is called the welfare warfare state. Again, unlike fascism or the white supremacists or the KKK, the very opposite. And if you want to get into social issues, many of them are generally socially liberal. Not all of them. Some are into states' rights on issues like abortion or same-sex marriage, but many of them, they want to decriminalize or legalize marijuana. They basically believe in abortion rights. Not all of them, but some of them do. In other words, on social issues, they're libertarian. On foreign policy, they're libertarian. On economics, they're libertarian. And on politics, they're libertarian. And that's why they sometimes form alliances, say, with people who support Bernie, because on issues of war, on issues of civil liberties, on issues of civil rights, on issues of freedom of speech, they will form alliances, ad hoc alliances, with some members of the progressive left. That's why some Bernie Sanders supporters were there to speak. Now, you may disagree with them. You may say, I disagree with them on economics. I disagree with them on foreign policy. I disagree with them on social issues. That's fine. It's a free country. But they're not hate groups. In fact, they're the diametrically opposite of hate groups. They're the diametrically opposite of Nazism or fascism or white supremacy or KKK. And anybody with not a half a brain, but with 1/100th of a brain, either should know it or should have been told to know it. And instead, what Macho Marty Walsh did was he screamed fire in a crowded theater. He went on television He went on radio, he went to the press, and smeared and libeled and slandered all of these people to convince and whip up hysteria, especially in the minority communities, that Charlottesville is going to take place in Boston.
We also have a message to the hate groups, especially any that are planning to come to our city this weekend. Boston does not welcome you here. Boston does not want you here. Boston rejects your message. We reject racism. We reject white supremacy. We reject anti-Semitism. We reject the KKK. We reject neo-Nazis. We reject domestic terrorism. And we reject hatred. And we will do every single thing in our power to keep hate out of our city.
It was lie, 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 smear, smear, smear. And he did it publicly, and he did it repeatedly, and he did it willfully, and he did it knowingly. And I said this at the time. And I don't know, Brittany, if you can find the tape. I said these guys should sue the pants off of this guy. They should sue him. They should sue the mayor's office. I would sue everybody. And afterwards, they dug. Oh, were they digging? The Boston Globe and the Herald and Channel 4 and 5 and 7 and WGBH and all of them, Channel 10, all of them. They couldn't find one white supremacist among them. Not one. Not one member of the so-called alt-right. Nothing. You know what they found? 2 neo-Nazis in the big crowd. 2 neo-Nazis. Apparently, I don't know where they came from, but they came. In the thousands of people that congregated on the Commons, they found 2 neo-Nazis. 2. This was not just a travesty for the city of Boston. This was not just an exercise in mob rule. This was not just a frightening experience of how the powers that be, the political and media elites, could literally fabricate and manufacture a story and whip up a hate mob. But it was the deliberate targeting of constitutionalists, of libertarians, and of people who believe genuinely in freedom of speech, and turning them into white supremacists and the KKK. Their lives, their careers, their reputations have been almost irreparably destroyed. I believe that Brandon Navum is a hero. I believe those that organized the free speech rally are heroes, and those that had the guts to attend are heroes. Whatever you think about them personally, the fact that they showed up, they were risking their lives. And they did it to defend freedom of speech. And it's about time that we teach these politicians, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. You can't just make stuff up and smear and slander and destroy people. And if you're going to do it, especially you radical leftists, there should be a price to pay. And for Marty Walsh, to me, $100 million is not enough. I'm being honest with you. It's not enough. And so, do I think Brandon Navum has a case? You better believe it. Do I think Marty Walsh owes him a public apology? You better believe it. Do I think he owes him massive compensation? You better believe it. And so, the Kuhner Country poll question du jour, as the French would say, of the day, sponsored by Bill Kelly Financial Services, is this. Should the organizers of the Boston Free Speech Rally sue the mayor of Boston? If, like me, you believe the answer is yes, and not just sue him, sue his pants off. Text the letter A to 680-680. If you believe Jeff, freedom of speech, he's a public figure, no, he can say whatever he wants to say. In other words, that's just how it is. Text the letter B to 680-680. There's no case here. You can vote online at WRKO.com. We're going to have poll results. Your reaction next.
Kuhner.
You're in the entertainment business.
WRKO.
124 here on the great WRKO. Okay, one of the organizers of the Boston Free Speech Rally, Alleluia, is suing Marty Walsh for slander. Should he sue Macho Marty for slander? Do you think he has a case? All right, so apparently Walsh was asked about this following his televised debate with Tito Jackson at WGBH. And according to Macho Marty, really, I don't think the elevator goes to the top with this guy. Like, really, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, as they say, okay? Not the brightest light bulb. He doesn't know much about it. He said he just read about it in today's paper, and he goes, I'm not sure what it's all about. Like, I don't know what's going on here. I know nothing. I see nothing. I know nothing. Roll it, Brittany.
Can you talk to us about the lawsuit that's filed?
Yeah, I don't know much about it. I read about it in the paper today, and obviously they were working on my side about it. They didn't want to tell me last night it's a debate. There's not much I can say about it. I mean, I think it's, we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm not going to get into particulars of what it is or what it's about. I'll let our legal team respond to that.
Just not going to get into particulars. He admits his lawyers didn't even tell him about it because he was going into a debate with Tito Jackson. I swear. Look, really, I don't know if he's so stupid that whatever they put in front of him, Southern Poverty Law Center, these guys are KKK. Marty, come on, Macho Man, come on now. You got to warn the city of Boston. So I don't know if he's just so stupid that he was just like reckless or if he's a liar. But either way, to me, sue. Alfie, go ahead, Alfie.
Hello, Jeff.
Hi.
Jeff, he forgot a couple of these other hate groups. The white-collar hate group there, the Southern Poverty Law Center, the NAACP, and some of the most violent ones, the New Black Panthers, Black Lives Matter, and, in all fairness, and there's a few other, Antifa, and the only thing worse than Marty Walsh is his opponent. He's even more militant, like a reverse racist.
No, I know. Look, the Boston mayor's race comes down to this. You've got one crazy moonbat versus a really crazy moonbat. That's the race in a nutshell. Skippy and Southie. Go ahead, Skippy.
Hey, Jeff, I think these Democrats, when they go to Democrat training, they go to the Sergeant Schultz School of I Know Nothing. He cut the mayor. I don't know. I just read about it. Same thing with Obama would say. He got all his news in the paper as well as what's her name, Hillary. But just like that last fella said, he didn't name all of the mayor when he was going through his litany of groups which were rejected. I don't think I heard him say Islamic terrorists like we dealt with the Zionists. And I know you, Hillary, Jared, Lowell, as well as all your listeners, we all reject all those groups. But I think we'll also reject pandering opportunists who spread fake news.
No, Skippy, look, you're completely right. I mean, Black Lives Matter is a domestic hate group. I mean, there's not even any argument anymore. Antifa, which showed up as well, that's a domestic hate group. You can run down the whole list. And Marty Walsh, the Southern Poverty Law Center. Oh, my God. You want to talk about a far left-wing hate group. Marty's got no problem with them. No, Marty likes them. Marty encourages them. Marty was taking pictures with them before the Boston Free Speech rally when the crowds were gathering on the Common. Marty likes them a lot. No, it's libertarians and constitutionalists and conservatives. Marty, those are the ones he doesn't like. Those are the real enemies for Macho Marty. John in New Hampshire. Go ahead, John.
Marty's all right. He's doing the best he can, I guess. As far as the people that want to come in here, the immigration, more people, more crime. Less people, less crime. That's all it comes down to. And I wish that somebody knew somebody to get you on Laura Ingraham's show. She's starting pretty soon. John Hannity. It would be wonderful to see you on the show with John Hannity.
Oh, thank you, John. Well, hopefully we will now. Anyway, there's some stuff going on behind the scenes, but I'm not at liberty to talk about it. No, notice Macho Marty was willing to take in 10,000 Syrian Muslim refugees. The city for them, come on down. Even though we knew ISIS had infiltrated their ranks. Doesn't matter. Come on down. But you defend the freedom of the First Amendment? You defend freedom of speech? Hey, watch it. You're not welcome in our city. Mike in Newton. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, Jeff, how are you?
Good. How are you, Mike?
Jeff, let me give you a mindset of this Marty Walsh. You remember Wahlberg and the incident he had with the Vietnamese refugee, and he punched him out and knocked his eye out?
Yes.
And he reconciled or whatever, he apologized, and he didn't do it. Marty Walsh comes from that vein of street punks, street urchins that were forged out of the busing and the hateful rhetoric that issue rose to the top in places like South Boston and Dorchester and Hyde Park. He's a Boston guy, a Boston kid. I'm not saying all of them. A lot of them become priests, become Army soldiers, Marines, but there's an element like Wahlberg, Walsh. I remember sitting in barrooms with these guys, and they'd show black guys looking, urging, for civil rights, and what the word they'd throw around like it was, he's a hypocrite.
No, I'm with you. Look, Mike, he's the biggest phony on the planet. And for him to say, I just read it in the paper, BS, you just read it in the paper. You know what? You know the lawsuit's coming. You know you're guilty. You know you smeared these people. And now you're asking yourself, how do we settle? And so if I'm him right now, I'd say, look, what is this? Let's give him something. Let's make him an offer and let's put this behind us. Because I'm telling you, what he did, it wasn't just immoral and unethical. It was disgusting. He smeared everybody who believes in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and free speech. Shame on you, Macho Marty. Okay, coming up next, incredible new developments on the Nevada massacre regarding Stephen Paddock. This one, ay. First, let's take it to Evan Heidenrich in the newsroom, who has the latest now on the FBI informant. The gag order has now been lifted. Take it away, Evan. 1:37 here on the great WRKO. Okay, it's time for the WRKO box office to open. Be the sixth caller in to 617-266-6868 to win a pair of passes for the Museum of Science. That's the sixth caller in right now, 617-266-6868 to win. Passes will be sent in the mail. So right now, we're offering 2 passes free for the Museum of Science. Be the sixth caller, 617-266-6868. Brittany, the poll question is, should the organizers of the Boston rally sue Marty Walsh for slander? If you believe the answer is yes, text the letter A to 680-680. If you believe the answer is no, text the letter B to 680-680. Poll question is powered by Bill Kelly Financial Services. You can vote online at WRKO.com. What are the results thus far?
98% yes, 2% no.
I'm not surprised.
Me neither.
No, I want to know who the 2% are. That's what I'd like to know.
Marty Walsh and his secretary.
Okay, at 2:05, we're going to have a fresh poll question for you. We're going to do the story. You're not going to believe this. It's coming up at 2:05. They now want to impose more tolls on the road. I'm not kidding. In Massachusetts, they want to impose more tolls on Route 128, Route 93, Route 1, Route 2. They now want to they want tolls everywhere now. Should there be more tolls on the roads, more tolls on the roads of Massachusetts? We're going to discuss that at 2:05. But first, I would be remiss if I did not draw your attention to this story. And I got to tell you now, the investigation into the greatest, or the deadliest mass shooting in American history, the Las Vegas massacre, the massacre at Mandalay Bay, is really now turning into a joke. It's official, really, it's a joke. And it's not Jeff Kuhner that's saying it now. The Las Vegas media is now referring to it as a joke. You have people from all across the country are referring to it as a joke. The victims, family members, They are now referring to it as a joke. Now, why? First, as you know, the timeline keeps changing. So the security guard, Jesus Campos, was shot 6 minutes after the massacre took place. Then it was 6 minutes before the massacre took place. Then it was literally at the same time the massacre took place. So the narratives and the timeline, they just keep changing week to week to week to week. Listen now to this. According to ABC News, they now say their sources within law enforcement are telling them that Stephen Paddock, the shooter, Stephen Paddock's laptop, which was in the hotel room with him as he rained down fire on the concert below, killing 58 people and wounding over 500, that the hard drive in his laptop computer, it's gone. I mean, it's gone. They don't know what happened to the hard drive. It's disappeared. Now, they say the computer was with him in the room. They say he had been using the computer in the room. So that means that during the massacre, during the shooting, he somehow must have either, I don't know what he did, destroyed the hard drive. I don't know. I'm serious. I don't know. Flush it down the toilet. I don't know what this guy, hide it under the bed. They can't find it under the bed. Whatever he did, the hard drive is gone. It's gone. It's supposed to be somewhere in the room, but they can't find it in the room. I don't know. Maybe he threw it out the window or something and it fell on the ground. I don't know, but it's gone. It's literally gone. And what is so convenient about that is now that it's gone, there is so much digital data that is in the hard drive.
I don't know. Maybe he hired Hillary Clinton's people and they got rid of it for him or something, Jeff. Check the bathroom, guys. Come on.
I mean, no, the Russians did it. Hey, Vladimir Putin, his people did it. The Russians did it. So the hard drive, which is supposed to be somewhere in the room or one of the two rooms, it's gone. Like it's just gone. Okay. So they can't find the hard drive, which means they can't get the digital data, which will show, what he was researching on the web, what he was looking at, what he was, the websites he went to, everything. That's gone now. So we're going to be even further away from ever finding or discovering a motive, or if there was a network, or if he had other people who helped him. They're also telling us now, according to the local media, they've now researched this themselves, that Paddock had paid off all of his gambling debts before the massacre. And that, in fact, financially, he was in very good shape. So some people were speculating, well, maybe he was just a disgruntled gambler, owed a lot of people money, had spent all his money. No, financially, he was in very good shape, paid off all his debts. Now, here's another one. Get ready for this one. Back to the security guard, Jesus Campos. Okay, remember him? Shot 6 minutes after the massacre, then 6 minutes before the massacre, then he was shot during the massacre at the same time, through the door, 200 rounds. Remember, he said he was shot in the leg, he was wounded. Well, listen now to this. According to the Associated Press and according to the local Las Vegas media, several days after the massacre, security guard Jesus Campos mysteriously, their words, not mine, left the country. He just left. He was ferreted out of the country. It turns out he may have gone to Mexico, which I think is where he's originally from, because according to Customs and Border Patrol documents, they show that the security guard had come back into the United States at the Y-S-I-D-R-O. Ysidro, let me take a guess here, San Ysidro border crossing in California. So he came back a week after the massacre took place. He came back from Mexico, but he came through California. He left apparently several days after the massacre, stayed a few, 3-4 days, whatever, in Mexico, allegedly, and then came back through California. However, His car has Nevada license plates. The car that he was driving, at least the one that crossed from into California, had a California license plate. It was a rental. Now, this obviously begs several questions. First of all, wasn't he shot and wounded? So how is the guy who shot and wounded just gets in a car and goes to Mexico? Like, I mean, what is he, on a gurney or whatever? And in the gurney, he's in the car and he's just driving in the gurney, in the car. Again, that doesn't compute, doesn't add up. Most importantly, here is one of the key witnesses in the deadliest mass shooting in the United States. And you let this guy leave the country? 24 to 48 hours after the massacre took place? You just let him go? You call this an investigation? And then the guy about a week later conveniently comes back in, but this time through California. And what's even more disturbing is that nobody told anybody that he had left the country. Because remember, everybody wanted to talk to the security guard, right? He was the big hero. He was the hero. He was there. He had prevented more people allegedly from getting killed. Now, all of a sudden, they were saying, well, he's incommunicado. No, we just can't find that. He's not ready to talk yet. Remember that? He's not ready to talk yet. So you lied to us. You didn't tell us he was out of the country. Why did you allow him to leave the country? According now to the Mandalay Bay, they say that this was a pre-planned a pre-planned visit before the incident took place. That this was I guess he had scheduled vacation time. And God forbid now he shouldn't get his vacation time, so even with the shot leg and everything, he's going to drive into Mexico. That's what they're claiming. Well, it was pre-planned. Okay. And I'll tell you what happened after he planned it. 58 people dead, 500 wounded in one of the greatest massacres in American history. Hello. And he's the key witness. Hello. Sorry, Jesus. The vacation has to wait. Furthermore, it's now come out that Jesus, I reported on this previously, Jesus Campos was not registered as a security guard in the state of Nevada. To work at a casino or at a hotel, you have to be a registered security guard with the Nevada's Private Investigators Licensing Board. Whether you're an armed or an unarmed security guard, it doesn't matter. You have to have a license. He was not licensed. So they're asking the police, well, hold on. If he's not licensed to be a security guard, what license is required to be a security guard at this Las Vegas casino? In other words, okay, so he's not with the licensing board. Is this legal? Can you do this? Can you get another license, something else, and do security work? According now to the Las Vegas police, they don't want to talk about this, quote, Jesus Campos is a victim. This is another line. Is a victim, and we don't speak about victims. He's a victim. He was shot in the leg. We don't talk about victims. We're not trying to demonize the guy. We just want to know how come he was working at the casino if he wasn't a registered security guard. Could there be another license you can get to work at a Las Vegas casino? We don't talk about victims. I.e., blank off. Don't ask questions because we're not answering them. Now, this guy is not even a hero because that's the old narrative. He's a hero if he was shot 6 minutes after the massacre began. But if he shot 6 minutes before or at the same time, well, then he didn't save anybody's life. He didn't prevent Paddock from massacring more people. So even that's the old timeline. So here is a security guard where we have now found out, listen to this, that MGM, which owns the Mandalay Bay and owns, frankly, many casinos in Las Vegas, put tremendous pressure on him not to talk to the media. Where it now appears they helped him get out of the country for a couple of days after the massacre took place. and then told him the only show and interview he can do was Ellen DeGeneres, a show that is sponsored by MGM, that she has deep ties to MGM, even the slots or whatever at the Mandalay Bay even have her name on it or whatever it is. So they had him do the only interview, the one interview he's going to give to the show that they essentially own. Let me tell you what is as plain as the nose on my face or that the sky is blue. The Las Vegas police are not in control of this investigation anymore. MGM is. MGM is driving this investigation. MGM is the one that has been changing the time frame, the timeline. MGM is the one that is covering up for this security guard. MGM is the one that is preventing him from being asked questions or doing multiple media interviews. MGM is the one that is preventing security footage, camera video footage, from being released to the public. When the Boston Marathon bombing happened, boom, within 2 hours, security camera footage was out. In Belgium, when they hit that train station, immediately security footage was out. Las Vegas is the most surveilled place in the world. These casinos have security cameras everywhere. They refuse to release any security video footage of Stephen Paddock or the mystery girl that was with him. You know why? Because MGM fears massive lawsuits. And so now it's circle the wagons, protect our financial interests, and cover up, cover up, cover up. 617-266-6868. With MGM now calling the shots, as far as I'm concerned, any conspiracy theory now goes. What's yours? What the hell happened in Las Vegas? Okay, my friends, so the JFK, the last batch of the Kennedy assassination files are being released. Obviously, if there's anything dramatic, I will cover it either tomorrow or next week, I promise. But forget the JFK assassination. In the vacuum now of serious facts and evidence, with a completely botched investigation, where it's obvious that MGM is now running it, I'll tell you what the Vegas media is saying. Pick your conspiracy theory. They're saying it. If there's going to be no facts, you tell me, what do you think happened? Bill in Stoneham. Go ahead, Bill.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
I'll tell you what I think, and then I have a question for you. First of all, I don't believe this whole thing. I don't think it's one guy who snapped and then did all of this. I think somebody with very deep pockets is running this whole thing. From the beginning. And I think the ultimate end was gun control. I think the people involved were all used. And I don't even think that security guard was actually a security guard. I think he was just somebody that they took out of the country, like you said, and they coached him for a few days on what to say when he got back. And they said, you can only go on Ellen. And I wouldn't doubt if Ellen was given the questions to ask him. Because the way that he answered was too calm, too quiet, to a matter of fact. And if he was shot in the leg, he wouldn't have been able to do that. He wouldn't have been able to leave the country. This whole thing is a setup by someone with very deep pockets. And like I said, gun control is the end game. And the question that I have is that supposedly he's been there for 3 or 4 days, and there were like 10 suitcases, very big suitcases delivered to his room full of guns, I guess.
Yes.
My question is, who sent the suitcases? They just don't appear at a hotel by themselves. Were they delivered by, UPS, FedEx?
Okay, now, Bill, very good question. Okay, my understanding is, and I'm really up against it, but very quickly, my understanding is that they say he packed those suitcases himself, and he and this mystery woman helped carry up those suitcases over several days up the stairs. So he carried them with this mystery woman by himself. That's what the police are telling us. Okay, More tolls on the roads of Massachusetts? Are you kidding me? That story
the voice
next.
of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 93.7 WEEI HD2 Lawrence, Boston. It's 2 o'clock.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.